Hello, I'm Carla McLaren. And in my book, The Power of Emotions at Work, I ask the question why? Why is the workplace such an unhealthy place to be? Why is it a place that so many of us want to get away from? And especially in the great resignation of 2021, I think so many people left jobs. They would just rather not work at all than be in the jobs that they were in. I began writing this book in 2020 during the pandemic. But actually, I think I began writing it when I was about 10 years old. And that's when I first started working. I worked for my dad. He was an insurance adjuster. And so I went with him to see, things that had been destroyed and helped him to keep files and to keep organization. And it was a really great job. And you would think starting work in that way would have set me up beautifully for the workplace, but it didn't, because I went into regular workplaces where I wasn't in charge of the files. And I saw that things just didn't work. Processes were loosey goosey and not great. Sometimes there were great processes, or sometimes not, and people were generally unhappy, or they were dealing with a lot of emotional stress in the workplace, and it just was a kind of a uncomfortable, sort of incompetent, miserable place to be. And I never felt welcome in the workplace. So I run my own businesses. I don't have time for the kind of lack of organization and emotional disruption and empathic overwork and just sort of nonsense that so many workplaces see as somehow necessary. So, in The Power of Emotions at Work, I took that early working experience of mine and my continual questions throughout my working life of why is the workplace so bad? When I was in my undergraduate career, I focused on the sociology of work and occupations because I wanted to know the history of the workplace. I also got a degree in career development facilitation. So I understand sort of how you get into work and what the workplace wants from you. And I became certified as a human resource administrator because my naive idea, it was very naive, was that human resources are the people who can help a workplace be more socially and emotionally and empathically healthy. But what I found very quickly in my education is that human resources is really a paralegal working at the behest of the business, not the workers. And it's about hiring, firing, benefits administration, and protecting people from workplace abuses, sort of illegal stuff like bullying and prejudice and racial or sexual harassment or anything like that. But in terms of the issues that happened between me and my coworker, really there's nothing for that. Or the issues that happened because this manager was promoted past her abilities, and she can't say that to anybody because it's not a safe or open social structure where people have skills, that she's just going to struggle there while I sit here watching her and maybe even getting her work pushed my way because she's not competent at this position. And there's no mechanism for her to speak to that, right? So, in The Power of Emotions at Work, I bring all of the research I've done, all of the education I've had, and all of the work I've done as a workplace consultant, because my specialty is emotions and empathy. And people just sort of started calling me from the workplace saying, we're having this issue or that issue, or this is going on. And so I sort of fell into workplace consulting because of my understanding of emotions and empathy, and specifically social structures. So in this book, I look at what what is necessary to make a workplace functional? What is necessary to make things emotionally and socially supported and safe enough for people to have a functional social structure, a functional community, and a functional workday. How can the workplace, which has historically not been a healthy place for people to be, we know that, there's jokes about it, there's whole shows about how terrible the workplace is, like The Office, which is horribly funny, right? Unless you're trapped in a job like that. So we know the workplace is not a good place to be. And in the Great Resignation, we've seen, yeah, it's really not a good place to be. People would rather not work at all than to work in many of these workplaces. In the pandemic, when we all came home, or many of us came home who were lucky enough to come home, we realized, wow, so many things that happen at work are not necessary. And it's such a time wasting space. So my hope with this book coming out when it did is that we can start really looking at the workplace with new eyes and understand that there is a way to create a social structure that works. It's just that the workplace doesn't know about it, right? And so now that the workplace is so shaken up, we can kind of re-envision what we're doing in the workplace and create what I call an emotionally well-regulated social structure, which makes everything work better. The workplace has been an unhealthy social and emotional structure for most of its history since the Industrial Revolution. It has been a place of unnecessary suffering. And here in the United States, it's been shown that because of the social and emotional suffering that the workplace inflicts on people, probably not intentionally, but just because it is an unregulated structure, a social structure, that upwards of 120,000 people per year in the United States die, not in workplace fires or chemical spills, but due to the social and emotional and psychological effects of working in an unhealthy social structure. So the workplace has a lot to answer for. It has created a lot of suffering and even death, right? So this is a serious book. It's funny too, but everything that I do in this book keeps those deaths in the back of my mind, so that to say, here's what a socially and emotionally healthy workplace looks like. Yeah, we don't have experience of it, but I don't care. We need to be able to create this so that we can protect workers and leaders and managers from the effects of an emotionally unregulated workplace. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about what are the 9 features of an emotionally well-regulated social structure. They're really unusual in the workplace, but if you've had a healthy relationship, you probably have experienced these. And there's nothing that would stop them from being implemented in any social structure, a school, a workplace, a family. There's nothing that would stop you except ignorance. So let's get rid of that ignorance now. Thank you.